Good evening. The Concord Township Board of Zoning Appeals meeting for April 14th, 2021 is now in session. I would like to introduce my board. To my far left is Skip Sweeney and Brandon Dines. I'm Yvonne Valentic. To my right is Chris Gerald and Blair Hamilton. To my far right is Heather Freeman, our zoning inspector. Tonight, under the advice of legal counsel, we ask that anyone speaking must be sworn in. If you plan on speaking, please stand and raise your right hand. Please stand and raise your right hand. You plan on speaking at all tonight, okay? Thank you. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help me God. If so, say I do.
I do.
Thank you. Please be seated. This evening, when presenting your case and commenting, please come to the microphone with any comments and when you're presenting, and also state your name and address and confirm that you've been sworn in, okay? Heather, were the legal notices published in a timely manner?
Yes, they were.
Okay, tonight we have one old business, 2 conditional use permits, and 5 variances. So please be patient this evening with us. A 3-vote majority is required to either approve or deny appeal. If the request is denied, you can follow up with Heather. Okay. So first is the appeal number is old business appeal number 2018-41 Rainey Viviani 7757 Concord LLC. This has been on the docket for a while. Heather, they've requested to keep this table.
Yes.
Next is the new business. The first is our variance 2021-75. Clara DeJurio is requesting a variance from section 15.03A6, table 15.03-1 to allow more than one accessory building on the lot in lieu of the maximum one accessory building permitted for lots less than 2 acres for the property located at 11635 Girdle Road, current parcel, permanent parcel number 08-A-00-00-0066-0. Please come up and present your case.
Good evening. My name is Clara DeGiorgi, and I live at 11635 Girdle Road, and I have been sworn in.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mark Boskovic. I live at 11635 Girdle as well. We have been sworn in, yes.
Okay, go ahead. Whoever wants to start.
Really, we're just here to request the Township of Concord to allow us to add another accessory building to the property.
You want to maybe explain why you need the other building? Because you already have
Yep.
2 buildings on the property.
We do. So there's the garage, and then there is one small shed, which is considered an accessory building towards the back of the property. We got a new larger shed for, basically the 2-car garage is pretty much maxed out. And it'd be really beneficial to us to allow us to take some of the big things out of the garage so we can store these things in the new shed and then park our vehicles in the garage. So really that's kind of what it comes down to. We haven't been able to park in the garage because it's pretty much maxed out to capacity. And really the house is kind of small as well. Square footage is not really big. So it's kind of forced us to store a lot of that stuff in the garage. So it really comes down to just, we've got this nice new shed that we kind of got sort of on a whim. We were aware of the permit circumstances, but we ended up buying this shed and they're like, we got to deliver it. So we brought it to the place that it's currently situated at, and we want to actually move it to another location once we kind of do the landscape work and set up a nice foundation for this new shed. So that's kind of what it comes down to.
So I thought you were going to put the shed behind the garage.
Exactly, that's the point. Well, actually, yeah, it would be behind the garage. I mean, the way that the garage is situated right now, it would actually be toward, if you were looking at the front of the garage where the main large door is, it would be positioned behind it, but it's actually towards the right of it.
Right. That's what I mean.
It's currently between your garage and the road.
Yes.
Right now, it's currently
Yes.
between the garage and the road, yes. That was a temporary spot. Want to get that moved further back into the property.
So you're going to move all those rocks and everything that's underneath and...
Well, what we want to do is perimeter that off with ties and make that nice and neat there. So that's additional parking right there to the left side of the garage. And then on the back side would be another perimetered off area with nice clean gravel contained, and that would be the new base for the shed.
What's the condition of the smaller shed in the back? Is it in good shape or is it a little?
It's not leaking, it's in fair shape. It does need a little bit of carpentry repair, which we'd like to do that too. Basically just need some new doors is what it comes down to.
But if need to be torn down, it can be torn down if
If
that's
that's
gonna
the
be a
deciding
problem.
matter, yeah, if that's the deciding factor, that shed could go. It is useful to us having that smaller shed, but if it comes down to that being the deciding factor, it can go.
Yeah, what we struggle with is that you're only allowed one. Now with this one, you're gonna have three structures.
So you were aware of the zoning prior to purchasing?
I knew that there was permits required for a shed,
Okay.
but that was kind of.
But not of the one structure per, on the property. I did not know about that until I came to do the permit. And that's when I was made aware of it.
Skip, do you have any questions?
Had you considered enlarging the garage? Any other options other than what we're dealing with here?
You know, it'd be definitely be an expense we'd not be prepared to go into right now. That could happen down the road. But,
Okay.
Have you talked with any of your other neighbors?
not really, no.
In regards to what?
Like if anybody objected to it or anything like that.
No, nobody said anything to us. The only reason we were addressed was because I guess one of you guys must have saw it from the road.
I think Marty saw it the same day it was delivered.
Delivered, Marty,
So-
yeah. So,
And literally the same day it was delivered.
He was there.
pulled in the driveway.
yes.
So it's not like, we weren't trying to do anything, it just, it was delivered, he pulls in, I'm outside cleaning out some things. And he goes, that can't be there, so that's kind of how that went.
Yeah,
You got busted.
it's good.
We really weren't trying to do anything.
I didn't know that you had to have 50 feet from the middle of the road or whatever
Yeah, we got a deal on the shed and we bought it and they wanted to get it delivered. We got that gravel base right now it was a nice spot for it temporarily. And that's just where they were able to deliver it without, going somewhere else. Like I said, we weren't trying to hide it or anything like that, obviously.
You're right.
It's right up.
It'd be really beneficial. I mean, our big lawn equipment's in the garage right now. The house is not really big. It's kind of made us have to store things in the garage we really wouldn't want to. We get our lawn equipment in a nice shed like that actually matches the house, looks pretty good with the property. It's not a junky shed by any means.
No, it's a nice
It's
shed.
pretty nice.
Do you have a basement over there?
We do have a basement. It's pretty low. It's not the best basement, so. It'd be nice to park cars in that garage, And the other thing that I wanted to bring your guys' attention to, I did mention on the request variance. So it's pretty tough living on Girdle Road, particularly in the wintertime with snow removal. We can't park on the street temporarily, even when we have a plow service there, or if we're plowing the driveway. So we can't really clean the driveway that thoroughly. It'd be really nice to get it, shoveled when there's nothing in the driveway, right? So, if we were able to park in the garage, plow trucks could come in and out of there, clean it nicely. The reason I'm bringing that up is the driveway is on the slope heading towards the house. So if we can't clear it well and we're trying to back out, we get kind of hung up at that skinny kind of bottleneck right at Girdle.
Right there.
And it's just difficult to get out. So it really comes down to just not really being able to clear that driveway out that well while there's cars in the driveway and we can't park on the road. It's ungirdled. So ideally, parked cars in the driveway would be really nice. Parked cars in the garage would be really nice.
Okay. Does anyone else have any further questions? No? Okay, you can be seated.
Thanks.
Is there anyone else that's speaking for or against this appeal that would like to come up? Okay. If there's no further questions, the public hearing for variance number 2021-75 is now closed. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Open for discussion on the board. Anybody want to start?
I'll start. Go ahead.
Please.
Well, it's unique. You've got a detached garage here, so I understand it's a little bit of a different situation. And I think at times this board's tried to do its best to accommodate people with smaller lots, with secondary buildings. The fact that there's 3 here, I think, is an issue. And I think the fact that you've offered the alternative being removal of the smaller, what looks to be much smaller shed, I'd be inclined to grant this on the condition that the smaller one is removed. I just think if we go down the line of allowing 3 separate buildings on a 1 acre parcel, it's obviously a little bit much. So I appreciate that the applicant has stated in there that they'd be willing to remove the small one. I also think it's worth noting that one of the neighbors has provided their acquiescence to the shed that's in place now. I understand it's going to be moved. The neighbor to the, I guess, west has not offered an opinion, or otherwise I presume they've been notified. They're not here to speak against it, so by their silence I presume that's an affirmative vote on their behalf, but it's my 2 cents.
I agree with that, and I think another condition should be that definitely the shed should be moved to the right of the garage. It's difficult because the house is kind of close to Girdled Road, so they need all the area that they can get, and it would be better if it was in the back where it was originally proposed.
I'll agree with Brandon that, the 3 buildings is it's a big ask. The plan for placement of the new shed is fine, but I do believe this should be on the condition of removal of the smaller, older shed.
Skip, do you have anything to add? Okay. Heather, should I have the applicant come up just for the record and state that they're willing to remove that shed?
Yeah.
And move the other one, move the new one.
Yeah, move the new one.
Yeah, they have to make a motion for that.
Okay, we will have to, okay, that's fine. Can you please come up?
Of course, the question is whether or not they're willing to entertain that, and they're willing to entertain the motion. If they're agreeable, then we can make that motion. If they're not, they can proceed with the vote.
Okay, thank you, legal counsel.
Well,
So, what we just want to get clarified for the record is that, are you willing to state for the record that you'd be willing to remove that 3rd shed?
Yes.
And locate it as you have shown on the plans, kind of on the right side of the,
Yes.
Yes, we will remove that small shed. No problem.
okay. And you're going to set it on that right side of the
Yes,
existing
yeah,
garage?
that's definitely the idea there.
Okay.
So how long are you guys gonna give us to do that? That would be my question.
I have no authority on how much time.
What's your intention?
We just gotta get somebody there to excavate and get it prepared, and we're gonna do most of the work ourselves, but we need to get things rolling, and I'm just wondering how much time frame I have.
Would
That's-
60 days be enough?
Oh, that's plenty of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just
Threw
didn't
something
know,
out there.
I just didn't know if you wanted it done in weeks, or, in a few weeks, or you give us a month, or how.
This
well,
weekend?
Marty's gonna be
that's
by
gonna be-
later tonight. He'll expect it.
Probably.
It's kind of the eye in the sky.
Nothing getting by him.
No.
Heather, is that something we even dictate, or is that on just the zoning department to make sure it gets done in a?
We can send.
Can I say something?
Okay,
Can I say something, please? My intentions for the little shed was to maybe do a chicken coop this summer, but that's not allowed. Is that, if I was going to do something like that, can I keep that shed?
Let me answer. Here I go. I don't know that the use of the particular shed is really an issue here. I think it's the fact that it's a third
That there's
structure.
a third structure on
It's
the
a structure
property.
in and of
So
itself.
then if I wanted to have chickens later on down the road, am I allowed to do that then?
I think that's an issue if and when that comes about. Why
Okay,
am I
then I would have to.
You should take that up with the zoning department.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So, you guys you're on board?
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna have look for a new motion to, let's see. So do I have to close it again to the public?
I will amend my prior,
Okay.
I think you asked for a motion.
Yes.
I so moved. I would amend that motion to now include at the applicant's willingness and suggestion to amend their request to be for a second accessory building with the removal of a third accessory building which was already in existence on the premises to be removed within the next 60 days to allow for the second accessory building to be placed on the property behind the current garage in the place, in the spot dictated by the map provided by the applicant, which is to the northwest of their current garage.
You got that?
Yeah, I wrote it all down. Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, there you go. Thank you very much.
Thank
can
you,
be
I
seated.
appreciate it, thank you.
Okay,
Take care.
all right, so the question is, no, please, yeah, you want to stay for this part. Okay.
Oh, we're done.
No, we're not done yet. It's still, it can be dicey up here. So the question is on the approval of the variance for appeal number 2021-75 as amended by the applicant and motion by Mr. Dines. A yes vote is for the approval of the variance, a no vote denies it. Please call a vote, Heather.
Mr. Chairman, I think we also need to just make sure there's no further discussion by the board as to the new amended motion.
Good thing we have now.
Yeah, there isn't any discussion, right?
None here.
None. Okay. We good now?
Sorry.
Yep. Heather, please call that vote.
Ms. Gerald,
Yes.
Mr. Dines,
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney,
Yes.
Mr. Hamilton,
Yes.
and Mr. Valente.
Yes. Your variance has been approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You
too.
Take care. Okay. Next is variance 2021-77. Gregory Port is requesting a variance from section 15.03A6, table 15.03-1 to allow for the construction of accessory building to be 1,296 square feet in lieu of the maximum 1,024 square feet permitted for the property located at 11524 Girdle Road. Current parcel, permanent parcel number 08-A-021-C-00-004-0. Please come up and present your case.
Hi, my name is Greg Forch. I live at 11524 Girdled Road,
Can you
and I
be
have
sworn
been
in?
sworn in.
Thank you.
I am applying for a variance to put a small addition on my outbuilding for lawn and garden equipment and also household storage. The house does not have a basement, and the garage on the house is 20 by 20. Currently, we don't use the garage for parking because that's where I store all my lawn and garden equipment. And I was applying for a variance. It would be 200 square feet over what I'm allowed. I wanted to put an addition on the east side of the building to use for a shed purpose, which would be toward the center of my property. And I have spoke with all my neighbors. Nobody has any objections.
What do you have in the outbuilding now?
I have a stock car and equipment, and it's quite full.
Is that width, is that a 12?
12 feet wide
12 feet
by
wide.
36 would be the depth. Cost effective wise, a shed would probably be a lot cheaper, but I just thought if I was able to do this, that putting an addition on the garage would make everything much cleaner.
So your objective is to park in your garage?
On the house, yes.
Uh-huh. So you are going to take everything in a 400 square foot space and put it into the addition that's 200 square feet?
No, it's over the maximum by 200 square feet. The total would be, what is it? 12 by,
Like almost 300. How much? Oh, okay, then that works.
Well, I mean, I guess it's the minimum they could really, with the 12-foot wide, you couldn't make it any smaller to, try to shrink that request down.
well, I was trying to put an overhead door.
To match the rest of it.
Yeah, and if I do that, it's not, I mean, if I shorten it that much, now I have a man door and the overhead door would be behind the man door and it would just not conducive to getting in and out.
Yeah. Skip, do you have any questions? Fine.
It's clear. Very clear.
Very good.
No
Okay.
questions.
All right, you can be seated. Thank you. Is there anyone else that's here this evening speaking for or against this appeal that'd like to come up? There isn't anyone that's joined on the phone, right, Heather?
There is another, following you, there is another person on the phone, so I'm
Okay.
gonna ask.
Yeah, maybe. We're unmuted, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna ask if anyone on the phone.
Does anyone on the phone want to speak for or against this appeal? Okay. If there's no further questions, a public hearing for variance number 2021-77 is not closed to the public. Can I get a motion to appeal 2021-77?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion on the board? Nope. Okay. Not much to say. Okay. Then
I think it makes a lot of sense, Mr. Chairman. It seems to be a pretty minimal request. I think in order to provide some discussion to the board here, so we build a record, I think that in light of what this board has done in the past and by previous applicants seeking such a request, I think this is fair, it's appropriate. He's exhibited the reasons why this is a necessity for him, and it's a bit of a hardship, and I don't find that any neighbors or anybody else seem to take issue with it, so I would be in favor.
Okay. The question is on approval of variance number 2021-77. 77, yes vote approves it, no vote does not. Heather, please call the vote.
Mr. Dines?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Hamilton?
Yes.
Ms. Gerald?
Yes.
And Mr. Valenta?
Yes. Your variance has been approved. Thank you. Next is variance number 2021-78. 7941 Ravenna LLC, also known as Pinky's Beverage, is requesting the following variances. For the property located at 7941 Ravenna Road, current permanent parcel number 08-A-004-A-00-017-0. The first one, A, is variance from section 13.25A to allow the fuel pump to be located 35.2 feet from the road right of way in lieu of the minimum 50 feet required. B, variance from section 13.25D to allow the cannon B to be located 28.2 feet from the road right of way in lieu of the minimum 40 feet required. C is variance from section 29.09A to allow one waiting space for the fuel pump in lieu of the minimum 2 required. And D, variance from section 29.06C to C to allow the parking aisle width to be 10.1 feet in lieu of the minimum 22 feet when 90-degree parking spaces are adjacent to a one-way aisle. Please come up and present your case.
My name is Ruhi Patel. I have a business at 7941 Ravenna Road, and I have been sworn in.
My name is Dominic Lamarco, here with him, Pinky's Beverage, 7941 Ravenna Road. I've been sworn in.
Okay. So we're gonna have to vote on these all separately, each variance, this evening. If you would like, you wanna just start with A and go through the order, it's up to
Yeah,
you.
we'll start with the first one.
Okay,
Um,
and we could, I think, maybe just talk about all of them and then just do the
We're
vote.
here to answer all the questions, any concerns you have, so.
Okay,
Obviously, what we're looking to do there is to expand the canopy, add a fueling point for his location. He's replacing the storage tank, so we're gonna have all the ground ripped up, all the environmental stuff's gonna happen. We're replacing the underground storage tanks, repiping it. We figured about all that's dug up. He wanted to expand the business because of customer demand, and this is the great time to do it. It's most cost effective. Obviously, we're not gonna dig it up again if we don't have to. So, we're hoping we can get a variance with the Ravenna Road distance there. And this project's starting May 8th.
okay. Maybe one question I would have is that, instead of coming in for the variance, was there an opportunity to look at putting it towards the back? And
We
what
did-
would happen there?
Yeah, we looked at that. With that slope coming from Girdle, it just seemed with ice and winter conditions, if we went the other way, which would be east, we didn't think a dispenser coming in from that apron was a good idea. Obviously, you can't put a bumper, car's gonna have to go there to fuel. You're not gonna put a bumper on the dispenser side, the nozzle side. We wanted to put the third one more of a triangle and go east in the middle of those two dispensers, but again, there's a lot of slope there. And it's really hurts his lot there. If that was flat, that would be great, but that's not the case. And to grade that out and to make that flat it just wouldn't be worth the investment.
Can you explain the one waiting space for the fuel pump?
That's a good question. There's always two sides to each dispenser, so I want to get some clarity on some of those questions you had too. I mean, each dispenser has two sides. They're all dual-sided. I think what you were talking about is the parking spots on the one corner of the lot.
Now, for each fuel pump, the zoning resolution requires 2 waiting spaces.
In a stacking fashion.
Yeah,
Stacking.
stacking behind a 10 by 20 waiting space. So a car at the pump and then a spot for the next car that's waiting behind it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
So
And
I think there's enough room there because we're we got 35.2 feet from the right of way with that dispenser. So you're saying you need two.
you have to have a car waiting at the fuel pump, a 10 by 20 spot at the fuel pump, and then directly adjacent to that behind it, another 10 by 20, and it cannot be in the parking aisle. So as soon as you push out past that, you're in the parking aisle, so that is not.
Is that just for Concord Township?
That's Concord Township's, yeah,
Okay.
specifically.
Yeah, I'm familiar with a lot of gas
Yeah.
stations, and that's I would say a good over 50% of them probably do not have that.
Are you, Heather, are you talking about over here? There's only one waiting area? Because on this side, it seems like there's plenty of room for 2 cars to be waiting for.
Talking about for the new fuel pump that's being added.
Yes.
They're providing one. waiting
Right
spot.
here.
Yeah, at the pump, measured at the pump. So they have one spot at the pump, there should be a second one behind that other waiting spot. Yeah.
So right here.
So you're saying you need 40 feet behind the dispenser?
It's a 10 by 20 spot at the fuel pump.
10
and
by
then
20
another 10 by 20 spot.
So you're saying you guys are requiring 40 feet?
Yeah,
Okay.
10, yeah, so like, I don't know. So one spot there, one
Towards
spot.
Ravenna.
Yeah, obviously with these plans, we're not gonna meet that requirement.
Right, which is why you're seeking a variance.
Right, and what our opinion is putting this dispenser there is going to increase the flow of traffic and get people in and out faster. It's gonna help the situation. You've got a very busy store there, and people are waiting already. So we figured with the fueling point, people are gonna get in and out of there a lot quicker. And side by side, going on each, if you look on the side, you have a ton of room, you know? So, I mean, yeah, with that would definitely be a variance we need. Again, I would look at over 50% of the gas stations in all communities. I would say that'd be a problem for a lot of them.
When I look at that area, I mean, the stacking, okay, even if we give you the variance, we have an entry to that gas station, and it's one that I've been through. I mean, so we're pulling cars this way, and we have people coming in. It seems like we got a lot going on at that entrance. Did you think about, was there an option to get rid of that entrance?
We could do something with the apron. That's something we're going to propose. Obviously signage, you know, entrance, exit, and, you know, if we wanted to put some kind of signage to help the flow of traffic. But yes, it's something we're definitely open to with the apron. It's going to be dug up there. This is the time to do whatever we got to do. And any recommendations and any guidance from you guys, we can do at that time for sure.
How many cars do you have in there a day, in and out of there seeking fuel?
During the rush hour, there's a lot more. Usually in the morning at about 8 o'clock or so, there's like 6 cars trying to get gas, but there's only 4 that can get it. But most of the time it's accommodated pretty well.
So I guess my question is, in a given day, I mean, presumably, maybe you don't have the numbers, and that's okay, but I mean, do you have an idea how many cars are coming in a given day and seeking fuel?
I know your foot traffic probably based on your sales is probably 400 to 500 people a day, easy. Foot traffic coming inside the door. 4,500
people a day?
4 to 500.
Okay.
More than that, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he does a really good job, really good store inside business.
So the reason I ask that question is if we've got 400 to 500 people coming in a day, we've got, whether it's Concord Township and whether people like what Concord Township zoning says or not, so we live by, right? So if we've got a stacking requirement, and now we're gonna push that back, and you're seeking a variance from that to get closer to Ravenna Road. If we've got 400 to 500 people coming in a day, it's our job to account for this and be safe for the community and everybody else, right? And make sure that you guys can do business. So my concerns, I think what the other board members have indicated, is that we've got Ravenna Road right there. We're gonna have a car, if they're stacked up, and you're telling me rush hour is pretty busy, there's gonna be a lot of people right there. They're gonna have a hard time to ingress, egress of the place. Not to mention, I guess my next question is going to be flowing from that is, what does the fire department say, and what does the fire code say about that?
We've had no issue with the fire code. With the canopy and the outside work, I don't believe there's a fire inspection needed. We get permits from Buster, which is the Bureau of Underground Storage Tanks. That's the permit we have to get, which we have. But we're open to changing that apron for sure. I mean, if that's what we think. Again, our thought process was having the extra fueling points would get people in and out of there faster. You would have less people needing to stack because you're adding 2 more fueling points to get those 400 or 500 people on their way. That they're not waiting.
I don't disagree with you, but I think in reality, sometimes people don't pull all the way up. Someone sits there, someone's trying to get around. As you noted, you're in a real unique spot with the slope and everything else. So, I mean, that's a tough way to get in and out of there.
Do you guys think it'd be better just having the 2 aprons and just eliminating that one? Or moving it down or making the one bigger?
I think that you should eliminate it, because if you were even gonna do, only in or only out, it's so close.
No one's gonna listen.
People won't listen, and it's so close to the stop sign right there, coming out on Ravenna, it's just gonna be dangerous.
He doesn't want that, I don't want that, because people that have a hard time getting in and out aren't gonna stop them, and that's gonna defeat the purpose.
Right.
So, that is fine. I mean, I don't think there's a curb there with that frontage. I don't believe that it will really be nothing to eliminate that and change that flow from both just the far ends away from the fueling pumps.
And also, those 3 spots right there on the corner, and with only the 10 feet, I don't like those spots there. I think that is going to be a danger.
Well,
if you eliminated the apron and you put some spots that are parallel with the right-of-way on Ravenna, you could, replace those spots, and then you could free up that whole southern border.
100% agreed. He owns property on the north too, that grass area. We could even expand some parking spots there. That was our plan.
At the very least, make them parallel with the right of way.
Did you look at how the fuel trucks would come in? How do the fuel trucks come
Well,
in? and out?
we're gonna make that a lot better too. Right now, the existing underground storage tanks are underneath basically the existing canopy, which is not ideal. Obviously, you have a big tanker in there dropping gas, 15, 20 minutes at least minimum time of dropping the fuel. It's blocking his pumps. So we're moving the underground storage tanks to the new area, which will make it easy for him to get in and out of. And be away from the fueling points, causing less congestion.
But if that apron is eliminated, then, and if the big truck comes in off of Girdled,
He'll have no problem getting in either way and going
it's
out.
okay.
No problem.
So you would get rid of the 3 spots you have shown on the right here?
We could very easily. And Adam, as she said, if we got rid of that apron, we'd have some other spots available there. And then the property north, he owns the grass area. We could put asphalt there and have a few spots over there.
I don't know if there, you'd have to look at it and maybe show us. I don't know if you have room to put it on the north because you still have to allow stacking for the cars.
The north side of the lot, away from the.
I mean, on the, I guess the south side of the lot.
Well, if we're talking to the north, I mean,
North is.
I could
this
be
way.
wrong, but that's where you've got an existing septic system, correct?
It's
Yeah.
in the back.
There's room there.
Yeah.
Where the septic system is.
Yeah, there's room there, 10 feet easy, 10 by 20, couple, 2-3 spaces. We believe would be easily there. And obviously we can update the site plan.
We are also replacing the septic system and putting in a brand new one. We can move that back also.
Can you explain that again?
The septic system we have currently, we're replacing the whole system and putting in a new one. We
And
can
the
have
septic
one-
system is where?
The north grass area. of the
Over
building.
here,
By the building, actually.
over here.
Yes.
Do you use those 3 spots?
Hardly anybody.
Yeah, I think that it needs to be, I mean, it just would seem to be safer, you know, especially as you indicate with the grade there in the wintertime.
But then if you got rid of those, then you wouldn't need the variance for the 10-foot aisle, right?
Right.
That would give
Yeah,
you-
that's,
Right.
I mean, I sat there actually before the meeting, kind of just watched traffic, make sure there was a lot, how much room was there. And yeah, without those spaces there, there's plenty of room. And if there's no apron there, that won't interfere with Ravenna Road at the stop sign there. You know, the nice thing is with all the digging up we're gonna do, it's gonna be basically a clean slate to a point that we can do these things fairly easy at that time.
But the 2 existing pumps, you're not changing those at all?
We're just replacing the dispensers on them. Just an upgrade of the equipment, that's all.
I gotta tell you, I mean, it's not for me to tell you what to do, but conceptually, it's kind of hard. I mean, I appreciate you saying, yeah, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, we'll make it work, we'll do all these things. We're presented with certain factors right now in a particular site plan. I'm not an engineer, and I don't pretend to be, so I'm trying to make sense of this as
Neither am I.
best I can, right?
Right.
But it's difficult for me to do that, and I mean, I don't know, I'm just gonna tell you right now, it's hard for me to approve this evening with all these unknowns and all these other potential things you may or may not do. I mean,
Well, we're 100% on board of eliminating that apron. I mean, like I said, it's very easy if that's something you need to do. We can get site plans redrawn and submit them before the work's done.
It's really not that difficult to conceptualize eliminating the apron and eliminating the 3 spaces.
we're still gonna be only 35.2 feet away from the road. We're gonna pump that distance as opposed to the 50 required.
Yeah, that's not changing. The variant A and B do not change with those modifications.
So we vote on those and we make the conditions.
And the weighting, Heather, well, I guess I'm not sure. I mean, if we get rid of that, do we have enough waiting area if we get rid of that,
Apron.
apron? We don't know.
I don't know, I mean, it doesn't, there's no dimensions on here to know that.
That's clear.
Well, you said 10 by 20,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, we can
we
extrapolate those
clearly don't.
measurements.
Yeah, we clearly
We
don't.
don't
I mean,
because
and
you've got to
he's-
have at least 40 feet, and we've got 35.2 to the roadway.
Well, would you count the space now to, not straight behind it? It's gotta be straight behind? Because obviously if that apron's not there, that's gonna be a
And then
turn.
you still have to
Well,
maintain your parking aisle within 22 feet if it's a two-way, so
Right.
there's,
So we vote on that variance. We vote on the variance of having just the one waiting area, and we make conditions. We vote on the variance of the distance from the canopy and the fuel pump. I don't see how this is difficult.
Any, Skip or Blair, any thoughts or comments?
I think there is a concern with the right-of-way requirement. And I don't see from what's proposed that it's gonna meet that. So
Which right-of-way requirement are you talking
40
about?
feet,
A fuel pump from the roadway, Blair?
yeah.
Yeah, no.
What is the issue with that?
We understand that. That's why we're here, that.
But your comment was that that's not unusual
No.
in other installations. other
Yeah, I mean, look at
stations.
Concord Plaza, there's some right in the front there, which is a shell now. Look at Zappatelli's right in Concord, I mean, those are right on the road. And it's very often, I mean, we deliver a lot of places, obviously not Concord Township, like you said, not everything, but those are two examples that off the top of my head, I know in Concord that definitely don't meet requirements, but obviously, it's probably before the rules were made.
I used to work at that one at the
Which
plaza
one?
when it was in Ohio.
I
Not
remember
that that
the
matters.
Ohio.
The pump key, we had to go turn the pumps. Tony will remember that.
We still have a station with that, the Little Mountain Station in Memphis.
I was the guy turning the pumps so the next guy could pump their gas.
Good old days.
It was the 80s.
So fuel pump should be located 50 feet from the right of way, and you're proposing 35.2.
And we can change, I mean, we could make that a little, I mean, obviously, we might not be able to get to the exact, but there's some, room to play. We measured it so there was plenty of room, so someone in the middle wouldn't be stuck. So we gave it a lot of distance. We thought that was the smartest way to present it to the board. There's a lot of distance between the dispensers, but we didn't want someone in the middle not being able to get out, or, especially on the side with the building, which that's a problem, the building and those pumps are already there, but the one side I think it's no problem, but the other side I think that could be a problem. So that's why we propose having that distance between them, so the middle person would not have an issue moving on to keep the flow of traffic going. I mean, that's our whole thing, is we want to get people in and out of there quicker and more efficient than what's going on there now, without causing any issues on the Ravenna roadside. Obviously, Girdle's roadside is no problem, so.
Can you walk me through again, this is just me, I'm slow, is why we can't put them, why we couldn't shift this to the back? I know there's some grade back there, but it's, there's grade at the other one too.
If we shift that, you're saying this east dispenser further east, just go straight back towards,
Or put your new one in the back instead of the front.
it's not enough from there. We looked, there's not. And that apron that comes off of Girdle with that slope, it's just, our opinion, it's gonna be just an accident waiting to happen. Having it on this side, I think is way safer with what.
So
it
the
is.
question is, people are going to slide into that pump on that apron. That's the fear, right?
That's our fear.
Unless they made it an exit only.
Again, getting people to change their ways of going in and out of that store after all these years, and
Especially when you're eliminating one of the aprons.
Well, you could keep that apron.
I don't
I personally think
that's
it's
the-
dangerous.
yeah,
That apron is dangerous
And
there.
obviously, this dispenser on where we're presenting it now, obviously would have a bumper on the end of it, a ballard, to protect, anything like that, as they all do, so. The biggest concern, which I, don't disagree with, is if there's two stacked cars there and Ravenna Road there. And I think having the apron not there will keep the flow of traffic how we all would be happy with, I think.
Especially with eliminating the 3 spots.
Yeah, like you said, no one parks there. And we could put parking spots behind the building. Really, truly, there's room behind the building, and we're not even talking about the grass and the septic. There's plenty of room behind the building as well. I looked at that today.
You will have to check with the fire department about that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Heather, have you heard anything from fire department, fire marshal, or anybody else as far as this proposal, or have they been?
I do not think anything has been submitted to them.
Okay.
And, Mr. Chairman, just so you know, we do have legal counsel on the phone now, so if
Okay.
there's any questions.
Thank you.
So my question, okay, we eliminate the 3 spots that run perpendicular to Girdle Road that we've been discussing, right? That still doesn't solve our stacking problem of 35.2 feet to the roadway.
They're asking for a variance.
Oh, I know, I'm asking. That's my point here. I mean, we're
I think
talking
it
about
helps.
removing those.
I think
That's
it
going to
helps the
help.
situation, but yeah, you're correct. It would not.
It's going to help that 10.1 feet that Ms. Gerald indicated. It's awfully narrow. If you're trying to pull in and out of there, there's a car there. It's almost
Yeah,
impossible.
yeah.
So let me ask, does that then eliminate variance D? If we no longer have to be concerned about the 10.1 feet,
Correct.
Yes.
that goes away.
Yeah, D would go away. So we'd be voting on A, B, and, I don't know, we'd be approving A, B, and C. I don't know what happens with the, how we handle that.
Your indication that work is to begin May 8th,
May 8th, yeah. We're not
and
breaking
that work is going to be breaking ground subject to this particular site plan.
No,
No?
we're breaking ground regardless. We just, if we don't get the variances, we're still doing the underground storage tanks, the environmental, and the dispenser swap. This is the time, if we're gonna add a dispenser to help the business, help what we think will increase the traffic flow, getting in and out of there faster, this is the time to do it. The ground's gonna be open, and petroleum underground storage work is very, very expensive. We're not gonna break the ground again if this doesn't pass, so this is our chance, and we're hoping we can do it.
Heather, even if we approve this variance tonight or vote on it, they still have to go through further review with the site plan review?
Well, if we start talking about changing ingress, egress flow of the site, then that does trigger a different level of review. That would require site plan review. If you're talking about eliminating parking spaces and adding new ones, that would require a full site plan review application to be submitted to the zoning commission, which is not approved administratively by the zoning inspector.
Which we probably wouldn't have time by groundbreaking.
No.
Right.
No.
That's the
No,
thing,
not by
the
May
essence
8th,
of the time, obviously. And the people doing this, our goal is to get in and out of there and get him back up 100% within 30 to 40 days, so. I don't think that would be an option for us if we don't get the variance this evening.
Well, I think she's saying even if we approve the variance, you still have to go through the review process.
Right, yeah, if you're gonna do some of the things that you suggested that
Right,
you're
but then
willing to do
we
this
know we have
evening.
the variances that I don't think there'd be a problem. We would go through that process with the parking spots and stuff. Obviously, it's not
But the
anything to do.
timeline would not be, you would not have zoning approval by May 8th.
But I don't think it would affect the underground work. This is all above ground.
That's what I was asking you. So I think we're all saying the same thing here.
Yes.
In other words, you're going to begin the underground storage tank work on May 8th. Because you're beginning that, you want to do all this in one fell swoop, but what we're saying is there's more steps here with this. My initial thought was, and I know some of my board members admonished me, but my thinking is I would like to see something a little bit more put together, and I'm not telling you what to do, but I mean, for me anyway, to vote on this and give you approval, I would like to see something a little more definitive and have you come back with that. I mean, you're asking for area variances and things that have specific definitions to them. And you're talking about removing aprons and all these things. I think for us to be appropriate in that and to protect the drivers and the public and the people coming down Ravenna Road, if there's stacking issues and someone hanging out on Ravenna Road and there's accidents, someone's gonna come back and go, well, Board of Zoning Appeals, what in the world did you do? well, we looked at this plan and we said they're gonna do this, they're gonna do that. We made all these conditions, but it's difficult for me. And again, I'm not that bright conceptually or engineering wise, so that's why I'm trying to tell you. It just almost seems like you'd be in a much better position. Again, I'm not telling you what to do, it's not my place, but if you tabled this and came back to us in a month in May and said, here's what we're doing, here's why, and give us all those answers. But again,
Don't disagree.
just me.
Don't disagree. Unfortunately, that's not an option.
Okay.
Tanks are being delivered. Can't store 12,000 gallon tanks in someone's backyard, or, you know. Is there, I mean, prior to this, I mean, there was amendments and approvals, you know, based on the shed being removed that wasn't on their plan. Can we do some kind of amendment in that nature? You know, our plan, the reason why the site plan wasn't like this going in is our intentions weren't necessarily to remove that apron, but to help get the variance passed, we're willing to.
Can we talk about the timeline, how this would work if they were to go back and redo the site plan per Brandon's recommendations, and they would have to come back to us and then it would go to the planning commission? Or if we were to approve a couple of these variances and with conditions, then it goes to the planning commission. So which timeline is shorter? Can you walk us through that?
Well, I'd have to, unfortunately, I don't have the deadline schedule and meeting schedule with me as far as submittals, but typically you would need to submit an application and go in front of the zoning commission about 5 weeks before a meeting. So, they probably wouldn't be able to get in front of the zoning commission rather than the planning commission until their June meeting. Which they meet the first Tuesday of the month, which looks like it's Tuesday, June 1st, and that's if like they went back and they got Jones surveying to.
And then it would have to come back to us?
Yeah, right, and you know, they could, the way the zoning is written, variances need to be approved prior to the zoning commission approving the site plan. So those variances would have to be approved by this board.
So they would
either April or May, and then the zoning commission.
So they would have to, if we went with Brandon's recommendations, then they would have to redo the site plan, they'd have to come back to us next month, and then the following month, they would have to get the zoning commission to approve, right?
At best, yeah, I mean that's without having the deadline schedule in front of me.
Okay, but if we made conditions to what they're asking, and we approved the variances that were necessary tonight, and then they could take it to the zoning commission next month.
It would still be June at the earliest in front of the zoning commission.
It would still be June?
Yeah, probably, yeah. Because I mean, the deadline
Well,
to be in front of them in May is already passed.
it's June, they would have to come back here. Well, I guess it's April and May, and okay, so it's about the same.
Yeah, it's about the same.
Okay.
and again, I mean, we're still in this open session. I'm not necessarily making a recommendation. I'm just telling you my difficulty in voting to approve something that I don't know that it's put together yet to do that.
So, Skip, do you have anything to add?
Well, it seems to me that these gentlemen have a deadline as it applies to the underground tank. Am I correct? Okay. And this seems to be a pretty urgent situation. Okay. So,
It's also, go ahead, sorry.
but I guess my suggestion would be, is it possible for them to keep that deadline on the underground tank, do what they got to do on that, all right? Release a little pressure there, and then go about all these other machinations in the meantime. Is that something that you guys would be okay with?
It's gonna be difficult.
But we're not-
Well, when you have the underground storage tanks, we're taking out the old ones.
Let me interrupt you for a second. We're not deciding anything with the underground storage tanks. You're doing that anyway.
Correct.
We're deciding all kinds of
Well,
other
that's
things
just,
tonight.
those tanks are connected to the dispensers,
Right.
obviously, with the
Understood.
product lines. So at the time of those underground storage tanks being installed, the product lines would have to be run to the.
Yeah, so you have two new lines,
Dig it up again.
and you got to connect them, or else you're gonna
Right.
dig it back up.
Right, right.
So,
Ugh.
what was the plan, I guess, if we didn't approve any of this tonight? just.
We would just replace the underground storage tanks and you would still just have the 2 dispensers in the current canopy. It's an expensive investment, not to help grow the business. But
Where were you guys 2 months ago?
We've been there.
Yeah.
Working with them, trying to make sure.
we have other locations that we are working with other things, so, and, you know, every township has different requirements, so it's not just a
But regardless.
It's not just a template for any gas station, any property, so.
But regardless, if we approve it or don't approve it tonight, you still are getting any approval till June, it sounds like. If you gotta go to planning, if you gotta go to zoning. You could get
For
our
the
approval, but
above-
you're still not gonna get approval on making these changes till much later. Cause they gotta look at where, they might not agree with, you know, they might want something else too, so.
You're saying like the parking spots?
Yeah, they might not like removing the drive apron. I don't know. You know, that's a different board and a different review process. We're just looking at the variances.
Correct.
So.
Even if we approve some of these tonight, we're going to place these conditions, and so you would have to go through the process.
Understood.
So I know you're trying to have only one construction period, but it doesn't seem like that's going to be possible.
Okay.
Yeah. We clearly want to work with you and help.
I know guidelines are just set to get the discussion going.
I think we've
understand that.
proven that.
Let me ask a question. Is it possible while you're doing this tank replacement to do all the necessary plumbing?
Yeah.
You know, with the possibility of adding this third pump.
It's a decision we have to make.
Down the road.
It's expensive. It's just expensive. It's
Right.
expensive. Everything with the petroleum industry is very expensive. Dispensers, underground, all that work is
At least you'd have the infrastructure in place
right.
to do that if you were able to move ahead with what's being proposed.
Yeah, that's something we can discuss and obviously make that decision for the business
It's a
and then keep
crapshoot.
on going.
It's a crapshoot, though. That's an expensive crapshoot.
Yeah.
Well, you're running plumbing to the old dispensers anyways.
I know. Digging up concrete and
Yeah.
piping is, like I said, and having licensed people to do it is,
Understood.
you
Understood.
Is there?
gotta sell a lot of gas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there? So what's it entail if those existing pumps, say you slid them 10 feet, you know, because then if you just did 10 feet, you know, that variance goes from 35.2 to 45.2, you know, all those
Well,
variance requests shrink. So when you're doing all this work, is that, you know, you talked about not being able to flip that whole thing in the back, but is there?
Well, if we discuss just the new dispenser, if we can get somewhat closer to the existing ones, you know, what's the magic number? We don't have to be that far apart from them. We chose those distances because we figured, in our opinion, that was the best setup. But, you know, we're talking, I mean, I know the variance from the dispenser to the road is about, 15 feet? But seems like the biggest concern tonight is the stacking issue.
Well, for me, it was the 10.1. You got rid of that one potentially. That was I think a real problem. I mean, making that go away was your greatest accomplishment tonight. I think the stacking is a problem, and honestly, for me, the A and B are still an issue for me. That's just my opinion of it. Having this canopy and this station coming out as far as it is.
Well, we could shorten it some.
Well,
to make it, obviously, we don't want to make it any more congested. Again, we have the same goals: keeping it safe and getting people in and out of there.
and maybe it's not our purview. It's not within what we do, but maybe I presume there's some kind of state mandated requirement distance between dispensers, right? I mean, you have to have.
There is.
Okay.
Well, it's not mandated. It's not mandated. It's a recommendation.
Really?
Yes.
The state simply has a recommendation as to the distance
yeah.
between dispensers,
Yeah.
and that's
I
it?
mean, the people who do the installing and the people who sell the equipment, obviously, know what's gonna be the most beneficial for, like I said, there's no template. Every gas station, every lot is so different. There's so many small lots in the city that you can't make it a template and a mandate. You just can't. Property owners that have gas stations just wouldn't be able to have a gas station if there's mandated. There are recommendations.
I think
I
the
mean, look at-
vehicle
again-
drives it more, you know, doesn't mention it or anything, but, I don't know.
So I have to guess that one of the reasons it's not just the grade on the eastern side, because the grade is not that severe. I have to guess that the reason that you're going westward is because it's cheaper to run the lines. Is that correct?
Not necessarily.
Is there validity
No,
to that?
I mean, sure, the longer the run is, obviously it's gonna be a little more expensive. But our thing was, if you move that existing dispenser further to the east, you're in the middle of the apron. You're in the middle of the entrance and exit apron.
If you move the new pump all the way in the back, then the curve does get pretty steep.
I'm sorry?
If you move this new pump in the back of the area, it does get pretty steep over there.
I mean, I just drove in over there and turned around right in that area. I didn't think that the grade was that
When
severe.
it's snowing, it's a little scary. But right now, it's not a problem.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we looked at every option to get inside these requirements to the best of our ability. I just did a store in Painesville Township, and we did the two, and then put a third one more like a triangle. It worked out great. There's plenty of room here, square footage wise, but that slope just killed the plan. And then we looked at going that direction, and just our opinion, if you go there and you look at that entrance and that apron, they're gonna go right into those dispensaries at some point during the winter, no doubt.
So we can vote, right? I'm just talking to the board, I guess, right now. We can vote at what's here in front of us. Or we can vote and ask for some modifications. Or I guess the third option is the applicant could table it and come back next month with an updated plan and propose something else, right? Those are our options as a board right now. Do you have a preference as the applicant on what you would want us to do? Do you want us to vote as is, or do you want us to, would you want to table it and come back? Or, it's up to the board if they want to
You can add it.
go forward with modifications this evening.
I don't personally think that this is rocket science. I mean,
Yeah, I would like to
I
have
mean,
it voted
we're
today if
gonna-
possible, personally.
I'm sorry?
I would like to have it voted on today personally. If there's a few changes we gotta do, we're all for it.
So they came here asking for the stacking variance, okay? We're sitting here, trying to eliminate it, move things, whatever. I personally believe, in my opinion, that removing the apron, removing those spaces, it eliminates the variance D. It doesn't eliminate the waiting space. And so we vote on A, B, C and make those conditions. These people are putting a lot of money into this corner. Being right across from Bremix, that whole little corridor there is growing up. They're putting a lot of money into it. They've obviously got professionals involved. And I think that we should do our best to help them with their timeline and make these conditions. We have the condition of no apron, the condition of getting rid of the 3 spaces. That's not rocket science. And we have the condition that they have to go through the fire department and obviously go through the rest of the administrative process. I don't think it's a difficult request. They came here asking for the variances. We're eliminating one, and we vote on A, B, and C.
Skip, would you be comfortable voting on something without a drawing and on just recommendations?
Yeah, I don't have any problem with that, except this could get shot down the second the fire department or another agency gets wind of it.
It could. It's
That's
not
not-
for us
yeah,
to
it's not.
determine
All right.
or to
Well,
speculate on.
then I am
We don't even have to
comfortable.
talk about this. If they want to take this to a vote, then we can simply do that. We're just having a question session with them. That's for our discussion
Yeah.
after a motion's been
Yeah.
made.
I'll say
Yeah.
one thing, that their timeline doesn't change if we insist on a new site plan. It's the same timeline. Either way, it gives us more clarification and allows them to do some background into some of these proposed changes, that they'll have a higher confidence level that will go ahead with the zoning board when it does get there.
They want to take the chance in having us vote. And if we vote on it, it's two conditions to the site plan. It's not a big deal, in my opinion.
It might get shot down by zoning.
Then that's the chance that they're willing
Right
to
away.
take. We shouldn't, if they want us to make a vote on it, then let's take a vote on
Yeah.
it, put the conditions on it, and let them shoot the dice.
Okay, well, let's talk about it in our discussion.
Yeah, let's close the
Okay, is there any further questions for the applicant?
questions.
From the board? You guys are good? You can be seated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that's here speaking for or against this appeal that would like to come up? Is legal the only, is legal on the phone? Is that it?
Yeah, I go just legal on the phone.
So, okay. Is there anyone else here speaking for or against this appeal?
Mr. Chairman, I would just recommend that you don't close the hearing if you think you're gonna want them to agree to those
Okay.
conditions before.
Sure, you can let me know what I gotta do, Heather. Okay, because I'm not sure right now. So I do have a question for you, Heather, is that, what happens, or for legal counsel if they are on the phone, what happens with, if we don't have to vote on variance D because, we've eliminated those 3 parking spaces, it's not required, how do we handle that?
Isn't that a stipulation to variance D?
Stephanie, are you able to answer that?
I'm sorry, I can only hear every other word. Can you say it again?
Sure. Stephanie, with variance D, one of the stipulations that we discussed as a board is eliminating the 3 parking spaces. If those are eliminated, they essentially wouldn't need to apply for variance D that they have requested. How do we handle that in the discussion and the vote?
If they don't need the variance as a result of one of your other variances with conditions, then that would be eliminated at the time that you were to go to vote on that.
Okay. But I think we would be eliminating, our modification isn't a result, it's not a result of any of the other variances. It'd just be for
Or we
them.
could vote on it, knowing that the 3 spaces are going to go away and it's not going
Just
to matter
vote no
anyways.
against it
Yeah.
and just not worry about it, yeah, okay. Okay, so,
If you're saying that maybe I misunderstood you, if voting on another variance still does not alleviate what the variance is requested in D, I think is what you said, then the board still has to vote on it. You can't take that variance application away from the applicant on your own.
Okay, so we vote on it.
yeah,
So we just vote on it.
okay. All right, so we gotta do each one of these separate, a motion for each one, Heather?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before we do that, can I ask a question while we're still here? So what's the distance between the pumps and the building? We've got 10.1 feet between that space, if you will, between those 3 eliminated parking spaces that we're discussing to be eliminated. What is the distance between the parking area there for the cars lined up at a pump and the structure itself? Do we know that? Looks
The
like,
existing canopy in the
Yeah.
building, what's that distance?
Is that-
Like
looks
by
like-
the mailbox there?
correct.
Oh,
Anybody know?
that dimension is not indicated on.
It's less on that side than the other side by far.
No, it's wider between the guardrail and the edge of the canopy.
Right.
And just visually looking at that, it looks, in my eyes, it looks larger than the 10.1.
Okay.
But there is no dimension provided on here.
Another parking.
Do you want to bring them back up here?
You're saying to the parking spot, the 10.1, okay. Yeah, that side is bigger than 10 feet, yeah. Another car can pass on that side. I thought you were talking about the whole space for grass.
Okay.
Remember, the canopy's up in the air.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
go ahead.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
Just clarifying.
yeah. I'm not that vapid.
Okay. So, the first motion is to approve.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, the public hearing is technically still open, so before we make that motion.
We good to close the public hearing then?
I don't know, is anybody else speaking for her?
No one's speaking for it, guys. We have no further.
Legal counsel's on the line now.
Yeah, we don't need you anymore. So we don't have any further questions for the applicant, so then we can close the public hearing, correct, Heather? Okay. There's no further questions. The public hearing for variance number 2021-78 is now closed to the public. All right, can I get a motion to approve variance 2021-78, variance, I'm going to call it A, which is from section 13.25A to allow the fuel pump to be located 35.2 feet from the road right away in lieu of the 50 feet required.
So moved.
Second.
Heather, please call the vote.
Are we not having discussion?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Discussion.
I was already. We still got a couple more things to do this evening. To do now. Sorry. Go ahead. State your case.
Well, I'm just going to reiterate what I said. I think that making these two simple changes to make it safer and more palatable to the whole project is, really no different than us requiring during the first case that the small shed be removed as a condition. We're making two simple conditions. Well, more than that. But the site plan conditions are removal of the 3 spaces, removal of that apron. I think that a further condition would be to, obviously, it's going to have to go through the other administrative, ins and outs, and have the fire department approve it as well. I don't think that this is a difficult request. The applicant is requesting that we're voting on this, and I believe that it truly makes it safer. I don't like that apron there anyway. I think it's very dangerous being so close to the stop sign and right across from Bremick's entrance as well. And I don't think this is difficult. Let them take the project on, and we can approve it as requested with conditions.
Okay. I'll just say I would feel more comfortable if we saw the drawing or they came back. I don't think their self-imposed deadline should dictate what we do. However, Chris, I'm willing to take the chance and let them go forward, in my opinion, and with your modifications, only because there's going to be several other departments, groups looking at this and catching any potential issues. And we're really just looking at, allowing the variance with these stipulations. So, I'm not comfortable not seeing the plan, but in this case, I can live with it. And, I'm just not 100% sold. So we'll just leave it to the other departments and our staff to catch any potential issues when they come back, because it is a significant change and it's going to require engineering and review of the site.
And I think they've proven that they're very willing to do what it takes to do it properly and to make this significant investment into our township.
I believe the stipulation for the apron should be made with motion for A. So that would need to be reworded.
I don't know which
Agreed.
one to pull on this too. I'll be honest with you, so
Where would you put it?
I'd maybe put them both with C, but that's just me. Doesn't matter either way. Any other thoughts from the board?
Well, we're talking about ifs, and if they do that, and if we make this amended motion, which is great, so I think we're on the right path. But it's almost like when they passed Obamacare without really reading it. We're asking to pass something without almost reading all of it, and asking to pass something and do these and make these amendments without seeing the site plan. Willing to entertain that as well. I think there are notable differences because we're talking about fueling, we're talking about gas, we're talking about things that are abutting a roadway where traffic is passing. It's not the elimination of a shed or a number of other things that is quite simple on a lot.
That's kind of beyond our pay scale.
Well, I don't think so. And I'm not trying to be quarrelsome. I'm just telling you my opinion right now. And so I'm having a hard time with all these things. And I think that what we're doing is we're Yvonne noted a real remarkable point here. I think it's important to note is that, everybody, there's that old adage that, your lack of planning isn't my emergency. I'm not suggesting you have a lack of planning, but you've come to us less than 1 month before you intend to rip this up. I don't know that that's good planning. It doesn't put us in a position where I feel as though the people of the community are going to say, hey, Brandon, you made a real good decision on that based upon the facts you had, because I don't know that the facts I have are enough for me to make a decision that's going to approve what you're looking to be approved, even with some of these changes. Because again, maybe it's the limitations I have in my mind, and shame on me for that, but I am what I am as a board member here, and I can only go with what I see. So it's difficult for me to do that. You want to proceed with it, and that's fine. I think what we have to do, again, is have a definitive amended motion. If we are going to vote on this, it has to be the elimination of these spaces, and we take each one as they are. I have a lot of issues here with the stacking. I have a lot of issues with cars coming up against the roadway as it is. Some of these things I think are pretty simple and pretty easy. And believe me, I am in favor of businesses in Concord Township thriving and being successful, and want to do everything I can to help them. But there are some other things here, and I don't know that it's sufficient just to simply say, and this isn't a dig on anybody, but I hope that all the other agencies that have issues with this will do what they have to do. We're still the Board of Zoning Appeals. We still have an obligation here. You're telling me that the administrative code is such that it only has recommendations as to where dispensers can be put. That's something you'll have to deal with. That's, again, outside of our purview. It seems a little bit odd to me. So I don't know what those distances are. They talked about moving those pumps, moving the dispensers to accommodate that. Again, if that's the case, that's something I want to see. And then that potentially alleviates some of the things that we're voting on. And if that's the case, to alleviate things we're voting on, if it's in another month or 2 months and we're voting on all those things being remedied, it's an easy vote. But right now, it's a difficult vote and it's a cumbersome vote.
We're making a lot of speculation. You're talking about a whole lot of things here. We're putting on a few simple conditions, 3 spaces and 1 apron. And if there are other issues that need to be changed, then, the state of Ohio, the planning commission, the zoning commission, then they will make changes and it will come back to us. They have asked us to move forward on these. And in order to do that safely, in my opinion, is we put these conditions on what they have asked us to do and with their original proposal. We are in major speculation mode. They are taking on the risk. Let's make these changes with conditions and approve what they've asked us, vote on all 4 of them, and let them move on.
Skip, you have anything to add?
Yeah, I agree with everything everyone has said. The only thing, I've got a discomfort within me that echoes what Brandon and Yvonne said, that this feels rushed. I feel rushed. I don't like feeling rushed. But when I look at this practically, okay, I've been going to Pinky's for 15 years. I live right down the hill. I probably have gone in and out of there more than anybody else on the board, and possibly anybody else in this room. And I can tell you from a practical standpoint, drivers, they self-select. They know what's coming up. They know where the entrances are. They know what they have to do. I think we're creating a gloom and doom situation of epic proportions, depending on where you pull in, how you pull in, and so on. I think that's going to take care of itself. In terms of the apron, I frankly think that drive, if left there, would make it easier because, again, people self-select. I know because I do this, if I'm going to the store or to the gas, I actually use different entrances. And I know other people do it as well.
But if there's a third pump there, it's very likely that the stacking could be in Ravenna.
Well, again, people self-select. People aren't
Right.
stupid. Drivers aren't stupid. They
Exactly, so
understand.
they'll be stopped right in the middle of Ravenna.
No, what they'll do is they'll either go to the other entrance or they'll drive on by. People aren't, it works that way with traffic. I've seen that intersection go from, no stop signs 15 years ago with hardly anybody going into Pinky's, what it was before, to now being today. And I think people account for that. So
What do you
that's
think?
just-
What do you think?
what I think is, I think we should vote on it because I think that whatever's going to happen in terms of if they're going to keep their schedule or not, it's going to be what it's going to be.
Sure.
And frankly, unfortunately, I don't think it's going to happen. I think there's going to be other agencies intervening, and it's going to be a problem. But I think we should vote on this. I don't think it's that big of a deal. If you don't like it, if you feel rushed, vote no. But they want to vote, and I think we should give it to them.
Yeah, I would love to see it. I'm a visual person. I would like to see cars drawn on here, showing the stacking, showing how it works. But, like Brandon, I agree. I mean, I don't think we have to rely on other departments to make sure that this gets handled correctly, and we just have to focus on, I guess, these variances. We think that we should allow them and these stipulations if they maybe make that variance more palatable. I don't know. So.
Well, I don't know. To Ms. Gerald's point, apparently I was speculating. I'm not sure I speculate. I look at the black letter law. I look at the code. I look at the text. I see what it says. I've not heard a definitive motion yet to what's going to be done. As soon as I hear that, I'm happy to, whether it's provided by the applicant or a board member or otherwise, and then we can do that. So there's no question, as Mr. Sweeney said, we're voting on it. I mean, that's where we are right
Yeah,
now.
that's where we're at.
That's not for us to even think about right now. So, if someone, whether it be the applicant or somebody else, I'm not in a position to make that motion right now, an amended motion on their behalf, and to bring it before us for a vote. We're obviously going to vote on something. So I'm still, I guess, not knowing what exactly it is. Elimination of 3 spaces, but what are we doing? Elimination of an apron. If that's still going to have a 35.2 feet distance from the canopy to that roadway, whether it's an entrance or not. I don't know that that's of any I don't know, particular.
Well, I think Skip makes a good point about the apron. I mean, what does everybody else think about that?
I'm in a hard time offering any opinion because I haven't heard from the applicant what exactly it is they're willing to do to amend their application right now, and I haven't heard from any particular board member what they want to do that, subject to the applicant then accepting that, like we did with the shed. The other people with the shed offered an alternative in lieu of us voting one way or the other on that. They said, and in lieu of that, or in the alternative to that, here's what we will do. Easy enough. I haven't heard other than, well, we can do this, we can do that, we can do that, we can maybe. I'm sorry, Mindy, I'm talking way too fast. And I know better. We can remove an apron. We can take out those spaces. We can do that. Okay. And my simple suggestion to them at that time was, it looks like if it's me, I would come back at an appropriate time with all those things stated and with a definitive site plan to allow the board to understand that. That's all I'm trying to say here. I haven't heard anything that gives me an easier decision here yet.
No, so we have A, which is the variance from section 13.25, which is to locate the fuel pump 35.2 feet instead of the 50 feet from the right of way. Let's just take that one first. That's the one we're voting on right now, okay? So is there any changes to that one, or are we gonna accept that variance as is, or are there any modifications or stipulations with A?
I'll agree that you can add that stipulation regarding the apron to C or one of the other variances. So no,
Okay.
no modification.
So does someone want to put forward a
Blair,
motion?
let me understand you. I'm sorry. So as to A, which is the one on the table right now, no modification to that, but you're suggesting that the removal of the apron would be tied to perhaps the stacking and C or some other,
Correct,
okay.
correct.
Yeah, I think because the apron doesn't, it's the right of way. The right of way is not going to change.
Right. I think the practical difficulty there is that then is by its implication and by what you're doing has to do with stacking. One certainly is tied to the other.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So, do we want to put forth a motion for A, or is there further discussion needed for A?
I think Blair's moved to
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
the motion as it is.
Second,
Second?
Heather, please call the vote for variance A.
Did we have a motion? Is that
It
what
was,
you're?
it was already moved and seconded, and there hasn't been any modifications, so we didn't need, right? Well, legal counsel's on the phone, but I don't think we needed another movement or second, because it was already on the table. We're still in discussion, and now if everybody's done, it'll be a time for a vote.
Yeah,
I just want to make sure I'm understanding. This is a motion that was made with no conditions as to the first variance request, correct?
correct. Okay,
Ready for that?
the approval is on variance appeal number 2021-78, variance A. Heather, please call the vote.
Ms. Gerald,
Yes.
Mr. Dines,
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney,
Yes.
Mr. Hamilton,
Yes.
Mr. Valenti.
Yes. Okay. Next is, can I get a motion to approve variance 2021-78, variance B, which is from section 13.25D, to allow the canopy to be located 28.2 feet from the road right of way in lieu of the 40 feet required.
So moved?
Second.
Okay, do we want to talk about this one at all? Okay. And there's no changes to this one then from the board? No modifications, correct? All right, so Heather, this, next we need to vote for the approval of variance appeal number 2021-78, variance B. Please call the vote.
Mr. Dines,
Yes.
Ms. Gerald,
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney,
Yes.
Mr. Hamilton,
Yes.
Mr. Valenti.
Yes. Okay. Next is C. All right, so this one is where we wanted to add potentially stipulations to this one. But first, let's just talk about it. So can I get a motion to approve variance number 2021-78C?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, discussion on the board for this one. So the stipulations that we've talked about, just so we have them maybe all square, is that Skip has said maybe we don't need to eliminate the drive. I suggested maybe we do eliminate the drive because it seems like it makes, to me, it seems like it makes it feel safer based on just looking at this diagram.
I contend that it would be safer.
Brandon's raised a great point, which I agree with. I would prefer to have a drawing to see it. I'm a visual person. I like to have somebody walk me through it and I can understand it clearly so I can make a better decision. With that being said, we're not going to get that drawing. So based on what we have in front of us, we have to vote on this approving variance C to allow one waiting space for the fuel pump in lieu of the two required, with the modification or the stipulation that the entry drive off of Ravenna Road is eliminated and is no longer used as an entrance and exit to the facility, and that the 3 parking spaces would be eliminated just to the south of the proposed tank. And that the other stipulation would be that they would need to follow the process to get further approvals from the appropriate departments. And Heather, our legal, Stephanie, should I ask the applicant to come up to state that they're okay with those modifications or they accept them?
Yeah, that's always a good idea.
Can we have a quick discussion in private first?
Go ahead.
I hope they're wearing it down. I'm next.
No way.
We've had long evenings, but we've never had this many cases that I can remember.
Exactly. We've only been discussing some cases for like 3 hours.
No?
Well, we decided we don't want the stipulation on it. We want to vote as is, as Mr. Dines said. We want to be more definite. We were open to that suggestion if that would help things for the board. But it's not on the drawing because we didn't really want it. So we actually rather have you vote. We agree with Mr. Sweeney. I don't think it's going to change. People are coming in and out of that entrance right now. Are there any issues there right now? No. The stacking issue, there's plenty of room on this lot that most people, like you said, use their common sense, they use their awareness. There's plenty of room to wait for a dispenser that's not directly behind that person in the apron. So we decided we would like to be voted on as is and not amended.
Okay, one question before we just to make sure we're clear. The 3 parking spaces, would you like to keep those as well?
We can change that. That I think is really, really simple and will not have any issues with any other department going forward.
So
That's not changing
That would be a
entrance.
condition.
I think the apron's a big thing, and again, I think you guys all made great points. Every single one of you for and against it. But I agree, it's not gonna change anything having the other dispenser there with problems with Ravenna Road. I think it actually gives them another option getting in and out of there. Three options instead of just 2.
Okay,
And that's why it wasn't on the drawing.
okay, so, could we then add to variance D, while I have you here for the record, for variance D, that we have to then vote and approve, that you would eliminate the 3 parking spaces as part of variance D?
Absolutely, we agree with that.
Okay,
That would just be a no vote.
Right.
Just vote no on it.
Yeah,
So we have to put the condition on C.
right.
right, okay.
We agreed to the parking lot condition on C.
Okay, perfect.
All right,
The difference there is there were 2 conditions being put on C. One was the elimination of the apron, the second
Yeah.
was the elimination of
You
parking
don't,
spaces.
you don't need it on C.
yeah,
Parking
it
spaces.
shouldn't, it doesn't have anything to do with C.
Yeah.
Because I think it should go towards D, the 3 parking spaces.
But we
Right.
have to vote no on that variance.
Yes.
Well, now you can vote yes and eliminate those parking spaces. You could make the condition that you'll,
No,
You
you're
eliminate
eliminating the variance of the 10.1 feet by voting no on that variance. So it goes away, it's defeated.
Right. You can't put a
Therefore, that
condition on a no
10.1
vote.
feet is not allowed.
Potential no vote.
So we have to put that condition on something. So put
So-
it on C.
what if C doesn't pass? I'd say that's a pretty strong possibility at this point. I'm just saying, so, okay, we'll put it out, whatever you guys think, I'm not sure where to put it, so,
Well, I think it's where the applicant wants to place it.
yeah. So the 3 parking spaces that you're willing to eliminate, which on C or D would you like, I guess on C?
Which one is that affecting? Is it affecting C or D?
I think it affects D.
I just do.
Okay, let's kind of get through C and
So we
Go
can put
from
a
there.
condition condition on C, whatever one you guys want, eliminating those.
Can't we,
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, do you mind if I say
Please.
something? Okay, all right. So you're talking about that they're willing to eliminate some of those parking spaces, therefore they would avoid the necessity for that variance D. So that's something, you know, I think that that's a modification on the site plan that they would provide. Therefore, if you agree with reducing it down to 10.1, you vote yes. If you don't agree with that, you vote no. If you vote no, then they have to figure out how to make that work moving forward regardless. If it means eliminating those spaces
Very good.
or changing the orientation of them, whatever, they would have to comply with that minimum width, the parking aisle width.
So we don't have to make it
So
a
we don't have
condition.
to do it.
We don't even have to make it a
a good
condition.
point.
We just vote no and they gotta figure a way out.
Right.
So they have to make
So
sure
then we
they're
just
still,
go-
they would have to make sure they're still providing the minimum number of parking spaces on the lot and comply with the parking aisle width.
Okay, so we don't need that condition,
Okay,
the parking condition, stipulation.
correct.
That's what I'm hearing. Okay. So then we're gonna vote on,
So we're voting for everything as is.
yes.
all right, so we're gonna start from the beginning on C. Can I get a motion to approve variance 2021-78C, which is a variance from section 29.09A.
So moved.
Second.
All right, open discussion.
I'll just simply state that it doesn't meet any of the Duncan factors. I don't know. I mean, does the property return yield a reasonable return, the beneficial use without it? Yes. Is the variance substantial? Yes, because it potentially puts cars into the roadway. Will the essential character of the neighborhood be substantially altered, or adjoining properties offer substantial detriment if the variance is granted? Potentially, yes. Will the variance adversely affect delivery of governmental services? Hard to say. Ambulance or things are going by there and cars in the roads. I don't know. Maybe that's a stretch and it's speculative. The property owner purchased the property with knowledge of the zoning restrictions. Yes, in fact, they did. Can the problem be resolved by some manner other than the granting of the variance? Yes, we've discussed that, and I think that's been acknowledged. Will the variance preserve the spirit and intent of the zoning resolution? Will substantial justice be done by granting the variance? I guess that's up for debate.
Okay. Do you have anything to add, Skip? You good?
No.
Okay. No?
No further comments? No?
Chris, you good?
Yeah.
All right. Heather, the questions on the approval of variance appeal number 2021-78C. Yes vote is for the approval of the variance, a no vote denies it. Please call the vote.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Hamilton?
No.
Ms. Gerald?
Yes.
Mr. Dines?
No.
And Mr. Valente?
No. Okay, that one has been denied. Next is variance number 2021-78, variance from section 29.06C, 2C to allow the parking aisle width to be 10.1 feet in lieu of the 20 feet when 90-degree parking spaces are adjacent to the aisle. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, any discussion on this one? So this is, we're gonna vote no, so they can modify potentially the parking spaces. Okay, Heather, please call the vote for 2021-78D.
Ms. Gerald?
No.
Mr. Dines?
No.
Mr. Sweeney?
No.
Mr. Hamilton?
No.
And Mr. Valente?
No. All right, thank you very much. Thank you for your
Thank you.
patience this evening.
Appreciate your time.
All right, next is conditional use permit 2021-15, HSB Architects and Engineers on behalf of Auburn Vocational School District is requesting conditional use permit for the expansion of a school in accordance with section 13.10 for the property located at 8140 Auburn Road, current parcel number 08-A-021-0-00-040 040-0.
Good evening, guys. Andre Kawam with HSB Architect.
I'm sorry, I didn't get your name.
Andre Kawam with HSB Architect.
Thank you.
Mr.
Promise
Karam
you,
wasn't
this is
here
gonna
when
be an
people were
easy
sworn in.
one.
Oh, were you sworn in this evening? Were you
No, I
not here?
didn't.
No, okay, we'll have to swear you in real quick. Thank you. Got good eyes too. New glasses. All right, let me find my paper. Ready? Raise your right hand. You swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. If so, say I do.
I do.
All right, you stated your name. We need your address and confirm that you've been sworn in.
Okay. Again, Andre Kawam with HSB Architect at 1250 Old River Road in Cleveland, Ohio.
All right,
You've been sworn in.
and you've been sworn in. We just went through it, right? Sir, you've been sworn in.
Yes.
All right, go ahead if you want to present.
Like I said, this is an easy one. We're adding canopy at the back of an existing building at the Art Building Center at the Career, Auburn Career Center. It's an outdoor canopy for an outdoor learning classes. That's it.
What are they going to be using inside the canopy? Like what's going to be happening out there?
There's special courses, my understanding, and the owner, the director of Auburn Career is here. Do you mind to explain that, Jeff?
Good evening, Board. Jeff Slavkowski. I'm the Executive Director at Auburn Career Center, 8140 Auburn Road. I have been sworn in. So the main purpose of this this outdoor lab, as we're calling it, is some of you may know that historically for 30 years our construction programs have collaborated on building a new home from the foundation up. And thanks to a global pandemic, we had to halt that process last March, over a year ago. And with the uncertainty of our planning moving forward over the summer for this school year, are we going to be in session? Are we going to be at home? Are we going to be remote? We decided that we were not going to continue with the home building for our construction programs. And we want to be able to offer a comparable experience for those students in a larger outdoor space where they can, you know, they can still build trusses and roofs that we may not be able to do a whole house all at once, but we will be able to do the varying aspects of building a home just at different times. So underneath this 75 by 50, 175 by 100 feet.
100 feet by 75.
Okay, yeah, I'm not an engineer either. Yeah, it's 100 feet.
It's 100 feet
deep.
wide.
Yes.
75 feet projection.
With the raised
22 feet high.
22 feet high, steel structured roof over it. Really, it's more than a canopy. We believe that will eliminate a lot of the elements, except for just the harsh winter days where this area wouldn't be able to be used. So, again, construction-like stuff, just not building an entire house all at once.
Can I ask a question? Will the noise reverberate off of that roof? Steel roof, is that going to add to the noise, do you think? That's just a silly question, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, it might, it's hard to tell. You kind of can't even read it, you know, from the side, so the noise is kind of
Okay.
basically, it's supposed to just,
Just curious.
and it's pretty high, so it's significantly high, it's 22 feet high. There might be some little bit level of noise, but I cannot imagine.
The location on our campus doesn't have any adjacent homes or properties or anything that would be affected by any increased or amplified noises, as Mr. Dine is saying.
What are the tools, equipment going to get stored in there, or is it just
We may
built
have
something?
We may have some storage out there, some lock storage, but it wouldn't be much. It would be more for maybe racks storing lumber, stuff along those lines. We don't plan on leaving any of our equipment out there. No, we have storage for that elsewhere on campus.
So you're gonna have saws going, and what else is gonna be?
I'm sure you'll be hearing any kind of power tools, hand drills, hammers.
Every day.
Not every day, but a lot of days.
And when the,
That's gonna, I'm
when
sorry.
the notifications were sent out, how was it stated to the neighbors?
Basically exactly what is written on the agenda as far as how we advertise the hearing, that the expansion requesting.
So an average Joe would look at that and they'd be like, we love Auburn Career Center, no problem. But they probably did not go beyond to the next step to consider that there will be tools going every day during the season and listening to that. You know, it's not like a house is being built and the noises will only be there for, 60 days or something. This is going to be a whole entire season with this noise going on, and the neighbors are not recognizing that, I would suspect.
If I could, there is outdoor work at the school that happens all the time.
Saws and
Yes,
motorized equipment.
yes, ma'am.
So students are
These are
participating in
these
these
are the
activities.
same noises you'd hear in your normal building program when you're building a home.
Correct.
So the neighbor to wherever that lot would be they're gonna hear these noises.
Yeah,
Well,
right,
when they
right.
build a home, they're not on site over there.
Well, I think Mr. Earl's point is that there's a definitive endpoint when you're building a home, and this is in an R1 residential district, so I think her point's well taken.
Correct.
So, but what you're telling us is that this building goes on currently at Auburn Career Center. Students are doing this in some fashion there, present day.
Yes,
You're just simply now
indoors and outdoors.
adding a canopy in an R1 district to allow this use to continue in a separate place on campus. Is
Correct.
that accurate?
That is.
Is there a reason why there isn't any kind of side to it? Maybe even from Girdle Road. I'm trying to picture. I know I've driven past here 100 times. I know where this building's at. I'm trying to picture if you could really even see that far back to where this building's going to be. And I don't know if it's visible or not.
You would be able to see from Girdle Road.
Yeah.
I'm just on the approach to the four-way stop sign heading east.
And this is just a gravel floor.
Yep, gravel floor, drain tiles. The one that we've seen in Richfield actually used sand, so we're now thinking we may go along that line instead. Just it's actually a little bit more holds up better.
So the area to the west is wooded,
Yes,
and that's the area towards the closest residence, I
yes.
presume?
Heather, just out of curiosity, is there anybody else on the phone?
Just legal counsel.
And what about lighting? Is there anything out? I mean, obviously there's lighting underneath.
Yes.
Is there anything on the columns that come down around the building? Or is that structure?
Lighting?
Yeah, lighting, or is
No,
it just underneath?
Just underneath the roof. Basically, the strip, LED lighting directly, not, and then so there's not direct glare to any traffic. So
Is that on a switch or is that on motion? How's that,
normally they're on sensors and you can control them.
So someone leaves it on, Jeff leaves the lights on, and we don't have neighbors calling, right? They'll just turn off.
Absolutely.
When you say that some of these activities are going on now at the school, and I mean, is it your contention that really very little is changing? You're just putting a top over it now, or are these activities going on every day? I mean, paint the picture for us if you
So
would.
the activities are going on every day because we still have a construction program. We're just not building a house. This year they're doing things on a much smaller scale than we would be able to do with the outdoor lab.
So the only difference is putting the outdoor lab. They're still doing the same activities every day. I'm trying to get,
Yes.
is it going to be the same noise?
Yes.
Exactly
Yes.
the same noise?
Yes. Just in a different location on campus.
It's attaching to the existing industrial art building.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's all gonna match that, I saw, so that's good. I don't have any further questions. I mean, maybe I would have liked to see some, a low wall, at least to screen some of the stuff so you wouldn't see it, but
And we have talked about doing that and is maybe making that the storage wall for the lumber and such. We have talked about that.
maybe add some landscape or something, but.
We're not generally a difficult group. We just have to answer the constituents, the residents of Concourse. We're trying to be careful with everything tonight. I think we're getting a bad rep. Marty's driving around watching people.
All right, any other questions from anyone? You good, Skip? Okay, you're good, you can be seated. Is there anyone else here speaking for or against this appeal? Would like to come up?
Well, I have one more question. Mr. Slavkowski, I apologize. I mean, you indicate in here, and I'm...
Can you come up to the podium?
I'm assuming this is accurate. I mean, you're discussing the noises as light construction noises when in use. Hammers, power saws, battery-powered hand tools, pneumatic tools, right? I mean, so
What
that's
I meant by
accurate.
that was there's no excavating, there's no big tractors and bulldozers and backhoes and
Won't be dynamiting anything.
no, exactly.
Okay,
Yeah. Might hear a hammer,
thank you.
might hear a drill,
Just building the
might
right.
hear a saw.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. All right, so if there's no further questions, the public hearing for variance number 2021-15 is now closed to the public. Can I get a motion to approve conditional use permit 2021-15?
So moved.
Second,
Second?
discussion to the board? Nothing. Heather, question is approval of variance number 2021-15. Please, a yes vote approves it, no vote does not. Please call the vote.
Mr. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Ms. Gerald?
Yes.
Mr. Dines?
Yes.
And Mr. Valente?
Yes. Your conditional use permit is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next is another conditional use permit, 2021-16. Tony Willem of Sunny Street Cafe is requesting amended conditional use permit for outside dining in accordance with section 13.33 for the property located at 7531 Crowell Road, Kurt, parcel number 08-A-0-0-9-B-00-012-0. Please come up and present your case.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Tony Milam, with Sunny Street Cafe, 7531 Crowell Road.
You've been sworn in?
And I was sworn in, yes.
Okay. I know there's another variance request after this, but we'll just focus on this
On the first one?
discussion
Okay.
on the conditional use permit.
Okay, well, basically, the first one is about the limitation on outside seating to inside seating, which is 25%. And we're looking to have have that removed from our from our zoning permit, and the first one, I think, right?
No, the first one is.
Oh, conditional use,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so we're looking to have that removed because the condition is very difficult, because, when you have nice weather, you have people majority of people want to go outside. So we may have 50 people come to the restaurant and all 50 might want to sit outside. So we'd like to have that one removed.
No, Heather, they need a new conditional use permit because they're revising the patio, is that the case?
Oh, yeah,
Yes, you're requesting an amended conditional use permit,
right.
due to the changes that you're proposing.
Right, we're proposing to, change our canopy.
Increase?
We're not increasing anything, but we're changing the canopy from a canopy structure, a vinyl structure, a fabric structure, to a hard, lumber-built structure.
Okay, what else are you guys changing on it?
That's pretty much it, but we're covering the whole patio. The patio is not all completely covered, so we're actually expanding the the roof a little further, but it doesn't expand the actual area that that we already have as the patio area.
And I think when we approved this back in 2010, conditional use permit for outside dining, and so you have to come back to amend it because of the change in the structure.
Yeah, the change in the structure type puts it in a different category. So even though we'd like to have the percentage removed.
Well, and we'll talk about that one next.
Oh, that's not it, okay.
Yeah, we gotta keep this group, focused on this. It's been a long evening.
Aren't we increasing the occupancy outside?
Right.
He would like to do that as well, but that's the next.
But isn't that
I thought
first
that
on
was
our
the parking
agenda?
variance.
Number 6 is a conditional use, requesting an amended conditional use permit for outside dining in accordance. Section 13.33.
Well, 13.33, there's E and G that are impacting us. The second one is the parking, 1 space per 100 square feet. So we have 2 within that same section.
2 within 6, and we got number 5 and we have number 6. So right now we're just talking about number 5.
Right. That's my understanding, which is the conditional use modification.
Yes.
Amendment.
Well, the same 2 things apply in both that we're trying to do, which is the 25% on the first one, which is the conditional use permit, and the second one is the variance for.
The parking space.
Right. So you asked him to discuss.
Well, no,
Number
the one's
5.
for the zoning
Number 5
permit, right,
first,
Heather?
And then we would do that and vote on that, and then take the second one after that.
Well, correct.
Right.
You said everything I said, I think.
My understanding is
Here.
that we're
tonight.
just talking. So Mr. Milam you requested he only address the
No.
amendment of conditional use to exceed that 25%.
Well, it doesn't seem to be written correctly because
Yeah.
there's a E and G in both of them that we need removed. There's a conditional use permit, is this right, Heather?
So the amended conditional use permit requires you to comply with all of the items in 33.33.
Right.
So A through
G?
A through I.
I, okay.
And you focused on your application, on for your CUP, you focused on the 2 that you're having trouble complying with, therefore why you're requesting a variance. But this board is trying to get you to discuss items A through all of the items to show what you're doing and making sure you're complying with the provisions for the outdoor dining. And I don't know if you would want to help them maybe walk them through what those are, if that helps you, or I don't know.
Yeah, so
The only 2 we can't apply with are E and G. So that's what the focus is, and that's what the letter that we submitted on the variance is focused on, is E and G, or E and G, yeah. E and
yeah,
G.
but we still need we need to approve you for all the other ones first.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Oh, I see.
We gotta amend your conditional use permit because you're changing that structure. And then you're gonna request a variance to E and G as a separate request. So if you haven't seen this, there's this 13.33 for outdoor dining, A through.
Yeah, I've
I.
seen those, yes.
Yeah, okay.
I'm familiar with them.
So what we're trying to get through here painfully is that you want to present a conditional use permit amendment to the outdoor dining, and then present that, and then we can talk about it, and we can vote on it, and then we can bring you right back up, and we can talk about your variance request from E and G.
Okay, so we're already in compliance with the current conditional use.
Okay.
But there are some new stipulations, like G wasn't there when we got our original one. So that's been an addition. Is that right, Heather? Because I'm looking at it here.
I think what they,
It goes
yeah,
through
I mean,
F.
What they're looking for you to do is explain how you're changing your patio and
Yeah.
give them, explain what the architectural
Okay,
plan
the architectural plan is in the package, and that's basically, we're changing the roof structure.
It's located in almost the exact same position, has the same pitch to it. So there's really no major change at all to what you're gonna see as far as like the structure, except for the material type.
What's that new roof material gonna be?
It's gonna be a standing seam metal roof,
And
same coloration, everything.
Okay, and is stone gonna match the
The
building?
stone will match the existing building.
Great. Okay. I have no further questions on the conditional use. Does anyone else?
No.
Go ahead, Skip.
I'm just a bit confused.
There we go. I got your answers.
Nothing is being changed. You're here tonight. The only thing that's different from when you originally applied for outdoor dining and so on, is that you're changing the roof and you're using specific materials. Correct? That's the only difference.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. But in the interim, did the code change? Why is he even here?
Heather. Oh.
Why does he even need
So
to be
the
here?
plans presented for the patio renovations, he's changing the perimeter boundary of the patio. So right now he has an ornamental fence with some stone connecting that, and you can just walk in and out of the patio, correct? There's no doors. With this new plan, he's installing doors and like a knee wall, like bench seating on the perimeter of it, and putting a hard surface roof, which in addition to that, he's changing his occupancy both inside the restaurant and outside the
That's being
restaurant.
addressed with the variances, though.
Right, those come into play. I mean, yeah, so he's changing the occupancy, the seating capacity on both in and out. And from what I understand, that some of those changes require, building department approval as well, which he is working with.
But because he's changing the structure, that's why he has to come back for an
Yeah.
amendment to his
Yeah.
conditional use permit.
Right, and he's changing the seating, which was previously
There's
approved
a
in
minor
2010.
increase in seating,
Yeah.
Right, so all this has been previously approved.
more or less.
And
A
occupancy.
different
In a
plan,
form,
a different set of plans, the same footprint of the patio, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's,
Right, the square footage hasn't changed,
correct.
but certain minor things have.
Right.
Knee walls and things like that.
Correct.
And that's why he's here.
For the conditional use permit.
Yes.
For the conditional use
For
permit.
just the
Yeah.
CUP.
Right.
Yes.
And with
Right.
that goes, there are new provisions that he shall comply with based on coming back to get the amended, and that's why he followed up with the separate variance application, right?
Right, and those additional things that he needs to comply with did not exist when he originally
Correct,
applied
but
for
he
it.
is held to
Got it.
that now, yes.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay, I'm with you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there any further questions for the applicant on the conditional use permit? Nope. And you can be seated.
Okay.
Is there anyone else here speaking for or against this appeal?
Is he
Oh,
leaving? No, don't
sir.
leave.
Don't leave, Tony.
Don't leave.
Don't leave.
Twice in one night.
Oh, he's not leaving.
Yeah.
Oh, they thought you were leaving, so make sure you weren't leaving.
All right. Sorry. All right. So there's no further questions. A public hearing for conditional use permit 2021-16.
Did you want to see if there was anyone speaking for?
I
against
did.
it?
I'm sorry.
Oh, I
I
didn't
was
hear
quick.
you. I'm sorry.
I know. I was really quick with it.
Anybody else on the phone?
Is there anyone else on the phone? Good
There
point.
is no one else on the phone.
No, just me.
All right. Hopefully you're in some warm pajamas over there, Spencer. All right, so there's no further questions. The public hearing for variance number conditional use permit 2021-16 is now closed to the public. Can I get a motion to approve conditional use permit 2021-16?
So moved.
Second.
All right, we got a second from Skip Hughes first. Any discussion from the board? No discussion from the board. Heather, please call a vote for conditional use permit 2021-16.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes?
Ms. Gerald?
Yes.
Mr. Dines?
Yes.
Mr. Hamilton?
Yes.
And Mr. Valenti?
Yes. All right, your conditional use permit has been approved. Okay, Tony, come back on up. So next is variance number 2021-79. Tony Milam of Sunny Street Cafe is requesting a variance from section 13.33E to allow outside dining capacity to exceed the permitted maximum 25% of the restaurant seating capacity indoors for the property located at 7531 Crowd Road, current parcel number 08-A-019-B-00-012-0. And also second variance is requested from section 13.33G to eliminate the requirement for one parking space per 100 square feet of outdoor dining area. Heather, are we gonna have to vote on these separately, these two variances?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Tony, you walk us through this. I'm sort of confused. I kind of understand what we're trying to do with 25%. And I know with the COVID restrictions and everything too, that all comes into play. So I want to really, for me, I really want to understand what you're trying to do and what you want, so we can maybe, get through that one.
Well, in today's state of the pandemic and our requirements at a restaurant, there are stipulations for us in spacing and how much seating we can have, especially in the open area of the patio. Inside, it's more controlled by barriers between booths and things like that. But outside, we got the spacing. So today, if we were to just go with our plan, it's more set up for meeting, the COVID restriction type pandemic things. But we want to be able to expand that. That's the reason we're putting the setting wall in. And then we have, future plans to, increase occupancy at some point. But today we're trying to just stay within our occupancy because it's very costly to expand beyond 100, because then you get into fire issues because now the space becomes more in the fire code area and you have to go to sprinklers and things like that. So we're trying to stay with our occupancy at the level we're at now. So we're not trying to make any, we're just trying to get our seating back to full capacity.
Okay, so you have to stay under a certain number because of fire suppression.
Right.
Okay. Well, you want to be able to put more people, a higher percentage of people outside than you're typically allowed to, so you could space them out.
Seasonally, that's the demand.
Okay.
Like the last few weeks, everybody that's come in on these nice days, they all said outside, outside. So we want to accommodate them outside. And most everybody in dining is pushing for outside seating right now. So
okay, that makes sense. I get that part. So what happens when, the COVID restrictions are over?
Without having this stipulation, we don't have to come back in front of this committee for another variance to say, okay, today it's this number, tomorrow it's that number. If we just eliminate that there's any limitation on outdoor to indoor seating, that helps the restaurant the most.
But the thing is, the ordinance without COVID, there is a limitation to the amount of outdoor seating.
Yeah, but I think almost every restaurant in Concord has gotten a variance. I find it hard to believe, take the Red Hawk, for example, there's a huge number of outdoor seats. And from what I've learned from other restaurants, they've had to go through the same thing that I'm doing to get a variance.
Okay, I don't know if that's the case. Heather, do we know if that's the case? I don't remember if we've approved others for it. I don't remember.
Red Hawk was established prior to the township regulating the patio and the size. There have been a few variances granted on the outdoor dining recently, the new crowd crossing development, some of those patios there.
Okay. So what would be, do you know what the number would be if you had your max capacity inside and what your percentage would be outside, like post-COVID?
We could get up to 50 seats outside if we really wanted to. And, we're occupancy of like 99 right now. So that would eliminate the inside seating.
But you can't go over 100.
Right.
Right? So if you did 50 outside, then you gotta do.
So what is the occupancy of the inside portion of the restaurant?
That can go as high as, I think we're around 60 if we used every seat inside and maxed it out. We can't do that today, but that would be
Right.
what it can get up to.
But if you have that on the inside, then you'd have to eliminate seating on the outside, correct? The 100 is gonna drive your, how many seats you put out.
For now. But if we decide to come back for a higher occupancy and put in fire suppression, we'll
Okay.
have the space to do it. And we won't have this limitation to come back and, ask for another variance.
What are you getting at?
I'm just trying to understand why, the COVID restrictions and then post-COVID. Because once COVID's over there, he doesn't have the restrictions on the seating. Right now, he's got a bigger patio, wants to have more seating, so he can have, right, people spaced out. So I'm just trying to understand what happens after
Well, I
COVID.
correct me if I'm wrong, but you want to have the 25% regardless of COVID, post-COVID. You just want more people to be able to sit outside, right?
I don't want the 25% as part of the condition at all,
That's
because
what-
that's what we're trying to eliminate, is any limitation for outdoor seating.
Okay.
I mean, we fall under what fire codes are, and we fall under what building codes are too. Fire codes are egress and things like that. So you can only put so many. We're just trying to keep it.
Okay, but correct me, Blair, you're the one that kind of, seems like a big variance request, or am I wrong? Because he's asking that there is no, it's not like he's
Well,
asking for
his
30%
His
to
total
25
capacity
or.
is limited, as he stated. And then 1335E says outside seating capacity shall not exceed 25% of the restaurant's seating capacity indoors.
So he's
But it's
asking
still
to
limited.
eliminate the 25 and
Still
it's
limited
unlimited,
25.
right?
Right. Well, it's limited by other factors.
The other factors, yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
I don't have any.
Larry, are you good?
I'm good. Yeah.
Chris?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you. Be seated.
Okay, there was a second part to that too.
Oh, yeah.
There's the G, which is one parking space per 100 square feet. Since we're not, there are a couple things on that. We're not really growing our occupancy at all. Number one, it's not an addition of additional space, and that requirement wasn't in there when we got our original one. G was added later. And we're also in a shared parking lot where when we're busy, all the other businesses are pretty much shut down, which are morning, weekends, which is our heavy period of time. And there's very little business activity in the plaza as well. So there's pretty ample parking.
Mr. Milam, you provided us a letter of approval from the Friedman Real Estate Group, right? To that end?
Yes, we did.
No objection from any other tenants or owners or otherwise?
No.
Any other questions? You can be seated.
Okay.
Is there anyone that's here speaking for or against this variance this evening? There's no further questions. A public hearing for variance number 2. Oh,
I'm sure out Concord Fire Department.
okay, excuse me.
Do you want any clarification on the vote or those type of things? I'm here to speak in favor of both sides, so. Yes
Do you guys
or no?
have any questions?
You're good?
We're good apparently up here.
All right.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, to see hiding behind the podium.
Isn't it? For breakfast, we didn't make it.
You had a long walk, we know.
There's no further questions. A public hearing for variance number 2021-79 is now closed to the public. Can I get a motion to approve the variance?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? I'll just say, the parking thing, I'm good with that one. I don't, I guess I'm not 100% sure why we would let anyone go unlimited on the 25% if we have an ordinance that limits it to 25% for outdoor seating, but that's just my opinion on that one. Seems like, I don't remember ever giving that or wording that to anybody else before. Seems.
Well, I don't think it's in threat of being exceeded, because from what I remember about you can't get any bigger.
Right.
It can't get bigger.
There's no.
Unless you go into the parking lot.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Maybe I'm missing something, so. Any other points, discussion on that one?
You and I have had a rough night.
Yeah, oh yeah. It's not over yet, my friend. Okay, so Heather, the question is on approval of variance number 2021-79. Please call a vote.
Are we voting, you're voting on the 25%?
Yes, I'm sorry. Thank you. Please call a vote to, on the variance from section 13.33E to allow the outside dining capacity to exceed the permitted 25% of the restaurant seating capacity indoors for the property located at 7531 Crown Road.
All right, Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Dines?
Yes.
Ms. Gerald?
Yes.
Mr. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mr. Valente?
Yes. Okay, the next would be, can I get a motion from the board for a second variance for 2021-79? He's requesting variance from section 13.33G to eliminate the requirement for one parking space per 100 square feet of outdoor dining area.
So moved.
Second?
Second?
All right, any discussion? None. Heather, can you please call the vote?
Ms. Gerald?
Yes.
Mr. Dines?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mr. Valente?
Yes. All right. Your variance has been approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Last but not least, variance number 2021-80, Scott Sill is requesting a variance from section 15.03A6, table 15.03-1 to allow the construction for the accessory building to be 2,016 square feet in lieu of the maximum 1,024 square feet permitted for the property located at 6670 Ravenna Road, current parcel number 08-A-005-B-00-0005-0. Please come up and present, please. All right, thank you.
I'm allowed to take this off. My name is Scott Sill,
Thank you.
6670 Ravenna Road, and I have been sworn in.
Thank you.
I think we need to get this young lady a break with her fingers for a minute, probably. So the reason I'm here today is to apply for a variance for this large building, obviously, to house this is actually my fiance, Maria. We're getting married the 28th of May. So,
Congratulations.
thank you. But, so our home and our house, but we would like to store an RV and trailer indoors for a couple of reasons. It's very expensive, trying to keep it out of the weather, trying to keep it nice, make it last longer. A couple other things. We have had a couple minor break-ins, one in my truck and then one in the motorhome. Nothing was majorly stolen, just come in and ransacked it a little bit, and then they took a dash cam out of my truck. Nothing big. Sheriff came and blah, blah, blah. We did all that. But so we would like to store it inside, keep it locked up, and keep it nice. The reason it being so big is it is long together. You know, I almost can't go any shorter. You know what I mean? That's why it's so long.
Yeah, it's a big camper.
Yeah, sorry about that. Hopefully you get that. We were, all the neighbors had agreed, and we were waiting for the last neighbor. He's a fireman, and he's in and out. So we were waiting for his signature, and then that's why. It's not in your original packet.
Yeah, so just want to enter, Heather, if you didn't get a copy, I got
Oh,
one here.
yeah, I'm sorry, I did
Okay.
9.
Yeah. She got one, okay. So they also provided signatures from
Yes.
neighboring properties and photos of the site.
Correct, yeah, just kind of giving you an idea how, off the road, the driveway's up a hill, you won't even see this thing. I mean, I know it's a big building, I get that, but like, if you could picture behind the motorhome in the driveway, like, you won't, if it's in there, if you guys allow me to, you won't even see the building, so, not to be an eyesore, keep the property, looking good and trying to keep that good for the neighbors as well, so. They don't seem to mind it, but I think it would be a big help to the community too, to keep it closed up.
Are you gonna, like, are you just driving it over the lawn to get it back there? How do you get it back there?
Well, through the driveway, right through the driveway, but then, it's really weird how the house is laid out. And I think that in the past, I've heard stories that this house was like the original family's house, and as the family grew up, they built houses around it, and they had a whole bunch of acreage. Well, the way they split it up is just, our house is sideways.
Yeah.
It's really, so we're limited, like if you consider the backyard would be the north side, there's all kinds of room there, but I can't do anything. Septic field's there, and it's behind the house, even though it is sideways, But unfortunately, I didn't build it that way, but I'm just trying to make good use of what I have, that's all.
Someone's supporting you outside.
Is that what that is? Oh,
Yeah.
good. Hey.
So do you drive up the driveway, then you're thinking up the front of the house and?
Yeah, exactly, you're right, it is up the front of the house, yeah.
Okay.
Which our neighbors to the south are great. And I'm like, we're always apologetic to them, like, is this in your way? Can we do something? And they're like, it's fine. They're like, what are you worried about? I'm like, well, I just want to be courteous to the neighbors, so.
And the width of it?
Yeah, well, I originally, Marty had came by and I talked to him once about, I actually wanted wider, but I didn't realize, I'm just thinking, come on, it's Concord, or out, there's all this land. The neighbors behind us have, it's all open and everything back there, but they have some buildings and stuff like that, but he's like, yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
So we tried to trim it down as much as we could to make everything fit and still look good. And on the one drawing, I apologize for that, it's we're gonna get another one made up. We're gonna put that like BZA stone across the front of it to make it look really nice. We're really trying to make the house appealing for neighbors and everything, so. I think it was one of the front, the buildings, or the picture with the building, excuse me.
So why is it 72 feet long?
Because the motorhome is 37 feet, I think, and the trailer is 28 with a 3-foot tongue and a 1-foot overhang on the back. So it's like 69, I think it's 69 and a half feet or something, but
Wow.
the builder said that when we apply for that 28 by 72, that would be outside dimensions. So he said, you're gonna lose 1.5 foot.
Wow.
So that, I could narrow it down, but then I won't be able to fit it in. It'll ruin the whole project. It won't be worth it.
It's bigger than
So-
your house.
Almost, yeah. Yeah.
So this building will be located where you are currently parking the RV now?
Actually, and
You
I
got it sketched
apologize
in the
for-
back, right?
Yeah, it's in the back, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It didn't come out in the front, I
Oh, I
apologize
got
for
you.
that.
I'm sorry, I missed it.
Yeah, so it's kind of back,
My
up against the
apologies.
woods, kind of like there, and,
So you're putting a driveway in or gravel or?
probably just gravel, yeah. Just to add, to attach to that, and
It's massive.
it is massive. I do understand that. I didn't think really that big, but there's a lot. I guess I didn't think it was any big deal at first until Marty told me. He's like, this is pretty big. But, there's a lot of buildings around, and I was like, well, okay. I didn't think it would be any big deal at all, but apparently it is, so. don't think of anything else, just to keep it, keep the yard free from clutter and all that stuff is the only notes that I really have on that.
Did the neighbor kind of behind you in the bigger
Mhm.
lot, did they sign off on it?
Yes, they did. They were like the third one, I think. He thought I was gonna build it myself. I'm like, no. But he's like, hey, I have a tractor if you wanna use it. We are blessed with good neighbors. Be honest with you, we actually thought about moving south just because of not having enough room. But I was like, we love it. I'm close to work. You know, the neighbors are great. I mean, they're just, not trying to talk them up. They are. They really are. But and there was something about, I thought that Marty had said that I already had a pole building on the property, but I don't. He said it might be on there or something, but I don't have, there's no other building on it.
This is your only?
Yeah,
building?
yes, correct.
Okay, good.
Yeah, yeah. It's,
All right, Blair,
So-
do you have any questions?
No, I'm good.
Anyone else?
I don't.
Okay. All right, you can be seated.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're good? Sorry.
Yes.
Okay. Is there anybody here? There's no one left. Is there anyone on the phone that's could be potentially speaking for our guest? Okay. All right, if there's no further questions, a public hearing for variance number 2021-80 is now closed to the public. Can I get a motion to approve variance 2021-80?
So moved.
Second.
Second, all right. Open discussion. Anyone want to say anything? It's just big, that's all I have to say. It's a huge variance request.
Mm-hmm. I feel like we've been worn down.
Not me.
It's
I'm ready to
substantial,
go.
but he makes a good point. I will say that I used to live in that vicinity, and I'm aware of multiple break-ins in the area from some other people on Ravenna Road who suffered some substantial and severe loss. And I think that in and of itself, it's certainly a shame, but it lends credence to his argument. It certainly makes sense that he wants to protect his property. I find that to be somewhat persuasive. Neighbors are all in approval, obviously. I'm not hearing anything that would caution us to have any opinion otherwise, but other than the fact that the size is substantial.
Yeah, but I feel like they're trying to mitigate it, pushing it to the back, dressing it up with the stone. I think getting the camper out from in front of the road and out in the back helps to character the neighborhood.
Agreed.
Good. Okay. Heather, the next we need approval for variance number 2021-80. Please call a vote.
Ms. Carroll?
Yes.
Mr. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mr. Dines?
Yes.
Sweeney?
Yes?
Mr. Valente?
Yes. Variance has been approved.
Thanks for hanging
Thanks
in
for
there.
waiting it out.
Look at
No pun intended.
No pun
It was very
intended.
good.
Somebody give her a break.
Oh, this is when it gets ugly. Number 8.
She's a seasoned
This is
professional.
when you're going to see some fireworks. So we have to elect the chairperson and the vice chair of the board. So this is when I get to lose my position.
No.
as the
No,
chairman
no,
of the
you're not.
board.
Solidify it.
Are you there yet, Mr. Chairman?
Oh yeah, we're on number 8. So,
Mr. Chairman,
I would like.
I would like to make a motion.
No,
No,
you can go.
no,
you
you
can
don't.
go. Whoop. No, I was just giving you a hard time. All right, have a great evening.
Take care. Congratulations.
Mr. Chairman, fellow board members, I think as was evident tonight, Mr. Valentic once again possesses the requisite skill, demeanor, and acumen to effectively lead this board in the same efficient,
Amen.
professional, and competent manner he has during his stellar tenure as our steward and our leader. I would recommend that he be reappointed as the chairman of this board.
Second.
Here, here.
Third.
Yes. Fourth.
Wholeheartedly concur.
What about the vice chairperson?
Brandon.
I would move again that Mr. Sweeney has demonstrated the same stellar ability. I think that his leadership in Mr. Valentik's absence has
I
been
accept.
remarkable, and I would ask that he be reappointed as the
This
vice
sounds
chair.
like a stump speech.
Okay,
I'm limiting it because of time.
yeah. I'm clearly more not, I have nothing to say, so. Anyone else have anything?
No comments.
No comments, okay. Can I get a motion to approve the recommendations by Brendan to have me continue as chairperson and Skip as the vice chairperson for the next year?
So moved.
Second.
I was making that motion, Mr. Chairman, so I think we're looking for a second.
Second. She seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 It is approved. All right. Next is the approval of minutes. We have only 2 people here that were at that meeting, I believe. So we need, as for the approval of the minutes from March 10th, 2021. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All right, any changes? Any changes?
Ms. Melton again does a wonderful job. I'd like to acknowledge her skill and everything she does for this board. I think now is the appropriate time as we're doing what we're doing with the chair, and thank her for her assistance as always, and certainly tonight. With everybody talking over each other, the job that she did was remarkable and commendable.
Here, here.
What are you running for?
I know, right?
I'm running for anything.
I don't know.
I think it's important to
You're
recognize those
you're so
people who
smooth.
serve so well. This township's lucky to have leaders like the ones I've acknowledged just a short time ago.
All right, all in favor of the minutes as written, say aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Abstained.
2 abstentions, all right. Thank you. The Concord Township Board of Zoning Appeals meeting for April 14th, 2021 is not closed.